Everything okay? Yeah, actually, basically, I don't know that much. What is this like summer school about? So please, you can also ask me some questions anytime. So if there is some topic which is resonating with you, just ask me anytime. Any sort of question related to the topic, I'm definitely here for you to be as useful as possible. So let's start. I would like to share with you my personal journey, which I will start as a university student. So when I was studying my bachelor degree, I wasn't focused on my career at all. Like, my bachelor was just partying, and I was just having the sort of like easy jobs. I was calling them like easy money, you know, some sort of like a cleaning or receptionist. And while I was studying and having those easy jobs, I was also focused on my hobbies. What do I like to do, and how can I develop those skills and kind of rise them a bit higher level? After a bachelor, I went for 1 year studying abroad, via Erazmus. So I went to Belgium, and during the time I got already an idea that I would like to have my own product. I would like to have my own business. So during this year abroad, I wasn't partying that much anymore. So my focus already shifted from party nights to actually thinking about my future career and what kind of skills do I have to develop, or what kind of career for myself, what's kind of my future journey as an employee or self-employed or like entrepreneur. What do I want in my life, and how do I want to create it? So I had my own problem which I wanted to solve, and as a solution I wanted to create a product which I wanted to place on the market, and just hope that, you know, other people have the same problem, and my product can solve their problems same as the product is solving my problem. So this is kind of the basic, or for many people, the first way how to start a business when you are focused on your own problem or your mother or brother or sister problem, and if you know how to solve it, you just, you know, find more people with the same issue and sell them your solution. So I had this sort of mindset, and I decided when I was in Belgium, I started to do different sort of like a beta versions of the product, and just experimenting and thinking about like how the product should look like to be placed on the market. So when I got back to Czech from Belgium after 1 year being abroad, which was also such a great experience, just to try to live in different country and meet different culture, people from all around, and also to learn how easy or difficult it is for me to leave my country, my family, my friends, and so on. Because when you are thinking about working abroad, you also have to think how you will be dealing with being homesick. Like, what kind of relationships are you leaving behind, and how are you going to keep them? So, but I will go to this topic a bit later. I started my business with my own savings, because when I was working or like studying in Belgium, I had a chance to also do some sort of like this easy money jobs. So most of the money I was just putting on the side. And when I got back to Czech, I didn't have to be going to work again. I already had some savings to start my own kind of first steps of placing a product on the market. And when you are a student, you have much lower risk to start a business, because I guess you don't have a mortgage, you don't have kids, you don't have any dependents who you need to be responsible for, or you can use all your money which you can make from some sort of like easy jobs for yourself, while you can also keep your lifestyle quite low cost. For example, if you still live with your parents, or if you just live in a like a shared apartment where you pay much lower rent than if you would be living by yourself and paying the cost for a full apartment. So as a student, you have such a great opportunity to start something by yourself, your own business, because the risk to just try is much lower than when you finish the school. Because when you finish the university, you kind of, you know, like, for example, I don't know how is it in Ukraine, in Czech, when we are students, our health insurance and social health insurance and social insurance is covered by the government, by our taxes. So this is less of cost, which I didn't have to be worrying about. While when I finish, while after school, when I just become entrepreneur and had my business ID, I have to pay my my health insurance and social insurance. As like what was the role for some self-employees. But when you're a student, you don't have these extra spendings. So, and I was aware about those benefits of being like starting a business as a student. So that's why that was my big motivation, that I didn't have I just could focus on it, and the risk was so low. So that's what I would like to encourage. That's why I'm repeating it again, that if you are thinking about starting a business, it's much better to do it now than to keep it for after when you finish your studies. When I was on my master degree, I focused a lot on my self-realization. So I was kind of in a stage when I was discovering my potential and how I can be paid for doing what I love to do, because I never wanted to work. But it doesn't mean that I didn't want it to be working. It just means that I didn't want it to be doing something where I'm only exchanging my time for money. I wanted to be doing a job which feels good to me, which is part of my personality, which is part of my lifestyle, which is who I am. And I got really lucky because I was able to find what it is, to do it, and to be well paid for it. So I had multiple incomes. I was a yoga teacher, and this just happened kind of naturally. It wasn't my aim to become a yoga teacher, but because I was practicing it already for so many years, and it just happened so naturally that I became a yoga teacher. So it was part of my lifestyle for like 9 years. And I was doing a food business, which is the one which I was already mentioning, what I started when I was in Belgium. And I established a company, which is Envirostil, which was doing environmental education for adults and for businesses. And this Envirostil agency was the result of my studies, because I was studying sustainability, waste management, nature protection, and so on. So I just put my knowledge. It wasn't that much about solving my own problem by creating a product. This was based on creating a service, which was based on my knowledge and my passion. So as I already mentioned, I was really, really lucky because I could say that I'm not working. Nothing what I was doing was a work. I would not say that when I went for teaching a yoga class, I was going to work. Not at all. It was just part of my lifestyle. Same like with everything what was related to my food business. It was just part of my lifestyle. My environmental agency, again, like it was such a great opportunity to express and share my knowledge. So it was such a huge passion for me to do all the projects for my clients. So I cannot say that I was working, which I think not everyone can say. And as a mindset, is really great. If you want to have a happy life and low stress, I would say it's really good to create this sort of mindset that you don't want to be working. You just want to be paid for your lifestyle, but your lifestyle has to be beneficial for some other people. So I would recommend you to take time to realize What are you good at? What do you like to do? What is beneficial for others? And this usually starts with learning about yourself. So what is your type of personality? Are you more a leader, or do you prefer to be led? Because not everyone wants to be a leader, and it's absolutely fine. Other question to know the answer for is how stress resistant are you? What is stressing you? What are your limits to feel comfortable in certain situations? Other question, how important is for you certainty? Because when you do something by yourself, like starting a business, or when you go to work abroad to some another country, there is usually lots of uncertainty. So you have to be comfortable with it, or find a way how to feel self-confident enough that whatever situation comes, that you will be able to solve it. So certainty and uncertainty is a huge, I would say, topic, because if certainty, which means like that you know what's happening tomorrow, and what's your income going to be next year, and so on. So you have some certainty in your life, which is I would say like something crucial. And if you don't have it, if you don't know what will be happening tomorrow, and if it's like really stressing you and freaking you out, yeah, it's good for you to just find a job where you know what's happening tomorrow. So it's really important to know yourself and find your limits, or find just the type of the personality, what you are capable, and where you feel like relaxed, and where you can find the flow stage. And the fourth point, ask others, how do they see you from the perspective of cooperation and your personality. So for example, what others would tell about you, like how easy or hard is to cooperate with you, like if you are a team worker or not. So this feedback also can help you to kind of think what kind of position is the best for you, or what kind of skills to focus on mostly, because it's much better to like focus on skills which are more like naturally you, like where you feel like we're naturally good at, rather than to be trying to develop skills which are hard for you. So the time spent for skills which you are not good at, it's never that worthy as the time which you spend on developing skills which you are good at. And this is something what is always good to keep in mind, that if you are doing something what you don't like, that you will be just wasting so much time. It's much better to focus on something what you are already good at, and you can just become a master.
Yana, I'm very sorry for interrupting. Can I ask you,
sure.
At the demonstration of the screen, we can see a page, but I'm not sure if it's the presentation itself, or you wanted to show us something, because we see that you shared the screen, but it's not a presentation itself. So maybe you can check it.
You should tell me first. I'm already like half through the and actually, how much more time do I have? Because
well, you still have 20 minutes, surely 20-25, just to leave some time for Q&A session. So
all good. Okay, so I will try to share the screen again.
Maybe you can choose not the whole screen, but there is an option to choose the presentation only.
Oh yeah, okay, I will try to do it again. No, I don't. Oh, maybe this one. No. What do you see now? Do you see my presentation?
Not yet. It takes some time. we see something. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. Now we see your presentation. Yeah. It's on the slide number 4.
Okay, should be good.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Now we can
You should tell me sooner. Okay, I think yeah. So I wanted to share with you that only 13% of Czechs like their job, and I have here those number, like I think it was some data from Great Britain, and there was like less than 20% of people can say that they really like their job. So I would like to encourage you to be one of those happy people and seek and do only job which makes you happy and fulfilled. It's not worth it to waste life and time in a job which you don't like. So for what is good to kind of build up when you want to work abroad, I think the first thing is to believe in yourself and trust your path. Because if you go to a different country, there is like lots of, everything is going to be new. There can be some sort of like a language barrier, or just kind of like adjusting to how the country works differently than your country, and so on. And it can be a bit stressful, or you can feel a bit overwhelmed, but it's good to keep this strong belief in yourself that all of this will go well. Sometimes just the beginning can be a bit harder. So other thing is really good to build and hold is to be excited about the journey. There is no failure. So any sort of life experience shouldn't be looked at as it is a failure. Whatever is happening in your life is just part of your experience. The third point is a lot related to my current experience, where I'm meeting some Czechs who also work abroad, and some of them, they have decided to just be as much as possible surrounded by Czechs, like by other Czechs or Slovaks, because maybe they miss the culture or mix to use their own language, and so, or like our language and so on. But I'm also meeting people who prefer to separate kind of from Czechs and be mostly with locals. Just, like really become one of those like Tasmanians or like Australians. So this is also something what you might already know before you go abroad, or it will just, happen as you are living abroad. So I just wrote it as a note because it's something what I'm seeing around myself. And for me, I'm probably I'm kind of in between. I have a local partner. My partner is Australian, but I also like to meet Czechs. So I'm not just one direction. But I know that some people, they are more strict with it. Other point is what I already mentioned in the beginning is kind of to realize what kind of relationships are you leaving behind? Like, how close are you to your family? How close are you to your friends? Because when I was in Australia and the mainland, I was meeting lots of other foreigner workers, travelers, and some of them, they were like really homesick and they just couldn't handle to be abroad, far away from their family, from their brothers, sisters. So to work abroad is definitely not for everyone. And not for everyone is worth it to lose the close relationship with family when you decide to go and live somewhere else. So this is also good to maybe even sometimes it's worth it to just go for a year and just give it a try. But on the other side, it's kind of good to know already before you decide to go if you really want to go, how do you think you will feel about it later on when you are missing interaction with your loved ones, which you have in your country? Yeah, and that's the last part. Do I really want to live abroad? Because for example, my situation is that I have never wished to live abroad. It wasn't on my wish list, to-do list, ideas at all. And it just somehow happened. And because I'm pretty flexible and kind of, easygoing, or I don't need the certainty that much, I'm quite easy to handle uncertainty. So for me, it's easy to live abroad, but I never wanted it, if it makes sense. So for me, it's easy, but I never wanted or never planned to. I haven't been thinking about doing it. I haven't been thinking about living abroad, but it's happening. So what kind of job opportunities you can expect when you are looking for a job abroad? My experience is that like the jobs which are on the market is usually something what locals don't want to do. So quite often, or like, okay, Australia is a bit different, but in general, quite often is jobs which are a bit like low-skilled jobs, like I don't want to, like in restaurants, cleaners, or manufacturers, and so on. So they are not that much based on the skill set of something really specific. Usually countries have lots of those jobs which locals don't want to do, farm work and things like that. Other category is that the job opportunities are based on the skill sets which is missing in the country. So the locals do not have the right skill set to do the job. So this is kind of like direct opposite of the first point, because it was more about the low skill set. Like no one wants to be a farmhand, for example, in some countries. So that might be a job for you. Or no one has the proper skills for some work, like data analysis, or for some working with some specific program, or some sort of special like rehabilitation work or whatever. So another like niche or section is like to have really specific skill set to do jobs which is like where the locals don't fill those specific job positions. And the third option is that there is not enough locals to do the job. So some countries, because of, I would say, how the population is aging. So there are some certain age groups on the market which are kind of missing, or how to say, or there is not enough young people because lots of older people are going to the retirement. So the other need for workers from abroad is because there is not enough of locals to do the job. So those are just like those three things which I'm kind of like seeing around. Definitely there are some other examples of job opportunities. But from the perspective, like if you are looking for a job as a employee, those are kind of the three options, three categories of jobs which you might find. Because mostly, or for example, here in Australia, the locals are always like preferred to get the position. So me as someone from abroad, I am the last one on the list who can be hired for the position, because they have some sort of rules or preference for locals to fill the positions. And if there is no local with the skill set which is needed, after that they are looking for someone from abroad, which is, for example, my position now, because I have a master's degree of waste management. So my position currently, I haven't been applying for the position because the council, which I'm working for now, knew about me, that I moved to this region, because I had a chance to introduce myself to them. When they had this position open, they sent me an email that, hey, we have this short-term position, would you be interested? And I said, like, okay, it's a good timing. Now I'm just finishing work for one client, so I can jump on it and take it. So again, it was like quite ideal position for me, but because of my kind of unique skill set, they hired me immediately without any sort of big interview. How much time do we have? Still like 10-15 minutes?
Yes, 10-15 minutes. Sure.
Okay, so what is, like, currently the market is changing a lot. I guess one part of this summer school is also about it, isn't it? Do you talk about the future market skills?
Yes, sure. Actually, it's one of the focuses of our project. So yes, surely.
Yeah, so I will just go through it really, like, I would not go into any details. As you can see, there's like a listed 6 aspects which we have to keep in our minds, that due to all of those like AI and new robots, like lots of the job market is changing now. Like, we are living in a transition of the industries. Like, there's lots of like happening and going on, and if we want to be, or like if you want to be employed, you have to really focus on what is going on with the market and what actually really makes sense to study and to learn. Because the school system, I'm sorry, I know it's a summer school, I guess that's the also important topic, to be actually teaching the skill set which is needed for current market, because the job market is dramatically changing right now. So for you as a student, is, I think, really important to realize what are the old skill sets and what are the new skill sets, and really focus on what makes sense to actually be developing. Okay. So, and I will just go back to more like soft skills, I would say. What is good to keep is constant development and learning new skills and interests. And with this, I would say, because of the current time, I think it's really good to kind of have sort of like 2 categories of skills. One category is online. What kind of online skills do you have? What kind of programs can you work with? What can you create as a content, or what kind of data can you analyze, and so on. And the other part is the offline. What kind of other skills which can be monetized, which you can kind of sell, are not based on being online and interacting with AI and programs and so on, or being online at all. What is the other skill set which is good to develop, which is more like based on some like manual skills? Because currently on the market, while lots of people are turning towards like working on the computer, there's also a huge gap where like people missing, like, for example, to be like an electricians or to be gardeners and so on. And I think it's really useful to have sort of like both setups, something what is more based on working with a computer, and another skill set which is more based on working manually. And again, it can be somehow a bit related, or the manual skill is the best if it comes from your hobbies or from your interest in general. If you like, you know, looking after garden or some sort of like, or if you are having your garden producing some food, maybe you can help in other people to establish gardens. Or if you like to work with wood, you might be, you know, making some furniture or whatever. And I think this is really useful to focus on both, which means that on the one time you don't do anything like full time, which also might not suit to every personality. So again, when you are trying to learn about yourself, it's also good to realize if it's easy for you to switch from one topic to another. Because, for example, for me, when I do just one thing, I don't like it. I cannot have only one job. I need to have, let's say, like two or three activities. Also, because for me, it's good to have multiple income streams, not just one. And I just don't like to go to work, you know, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. This is not for me at all. So I rather have more activities, which also gives me the flexibility of where to work, how long to work, and so on. And also I kind of adjust my lifestyle to the amount of money which I'm able to make. So if I have some, you know, lower income period of my life, I just live low cost. When I have a period of higher income, I do more savings, or I travel, and so on. So yeah, it just depends what kind of personality you are. I'm definitely not a person who wants to be employed for one employee and spend, you know, 15 years or 20 years in one company. So other skill set for your start is flexibility, which means that if you are going to work abroad, things might be changing a lot in the beginning. And this shouldn't be overwhelming you. I already said that before, and I'm just repeating it again because I think it's crucial, it's really important. And other thing is also to be able to take risks and have some sort of backups, which goes together with creativity, which is another point. So not, really trying to be thinking, that's easy to say, think outside of the box, you know, like everyone knows it, but not always it's easy to apply it. But as a general rule, it's something what is really good to incorporate as a part of your way of thinking and your personality, that it's creating your personal like resistance, like how to be like resilient to the changes and just, you know, kind of feel your own confidence, whatever is happening. And it goes together with keeping positivity, because even though, like, you, for example, you will go to another country, start your dream job, but your colleagues are bad, for example, for some reason, you don't click with them for some reason, or they just don't want to interact with foreigners. They just, you know, keep their community, and they are a bit harder to build some relationships and so on. So it's good to keep positive mindset, even though that the situation is not always pleasant. Yeah, and the last point is kind of holds everything above, is self-confidence. And again, it's kind of taking us to the beginning of the presentation, when you kind of realize who you are and what are your strengths, and what do you kind of like need to work on. And with low self-confidence, it's hard to go abroad. You will suffer, you will struggle a lot. So to build your self-confidence is really important to do before you move outside of your country. Yeah, so kind of like I already mentioned that also before, I think it's good to realize where do you see yourself if you want to be creating multiple income streams. or if you want to be like building a career, if you want to be mostly working for one employee for many years and kind of like just build up within the structure, with the inside of the company, or how are you thinking about your life from the long-term perspective? And as I said before, I'm not able to work for one employee for a long time. So I prefer to have multiple incomes, and sometimes, you know, like one of the income just, you know, stopped for some reason. I got heavily affected by the COVID pandemic. I had to close my food business. I had to close, I had to stop the environmental agency because all the businesses, everyone was working from home. All the businesses, everyone had such a different needs and way of spending money than to doing environmental education for their employees and so on. So like nothing what I was doing before all those lockdowns and so on, nothing was working anymore. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do now? I got like absolutely, all my income streams stopped working, and I had to be like kind of positive about it, you know, like flexible, come in with some new ideas. What can I do? And I was stuck in different country. I was stuck here in Australia. So my start here was really, I would say, I had to deal with such a big loss of my life in Prague and in Czech and so on. And I have to somehow slowly realize, okay, what's the new chapter, what I'm going to do here and so on. And now I'm still in the process of starting some other income streams. So what I'm talking about now is something what I'm currently trying to incorporating again by myself, because I had this sort of long period of loss when I was just kind of like, hey, I'm lost. I'm not sure what I'm doing. How can I, start again and so on. So now I'm actually going to apply everything what I was talking about in this presentation.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And now I would like to ask our audience, do you have some questions to Yana? So time for your questions. You can write it in your chat. Yeah, we have some appraisals for your presentations and words of appreciation. Thank you so much. And here we have a question. What would you do if you are offered full-time employment and they insist on you working exclusively for them, say in some big private company or academia?
I cannot imagine it, because even now, like I work for a council, it's like 3 months or like 4 months project, and it's only 4 days a week. It's not like full week. And even those 4 days, I'm struggling. I'm like really big advocate for 3 days, or 3 or 4 days working weekend. I don't like those 5 days to be like taken by some company. So I was thinking about this, if I'm able to be employed, and the answer is no, I cannot. I can. So if the company would, if the case when I would take this opportunity would have to mean that I would love the job. I would be so much in like balance, or all my values and everything would be fulfilled within the company. But because if it's a big corporation, I'm sick of those companies. So I would not, like if I would be hired for someone to work full time, it would probably be a startup. Like even like when I had a chance to work for, or like have big companies as Johnson & Johnson, or some banks as a clients, when I had my company Envirostil, I was like, those corporations are such a sick environment to work for, or to even take money from them. And because I educated myself about the market and how only few companies owns everything, there is no real competition. It's only 2 companies who owns everything. It's so much like lie and fake within those corporations that I don't want to be part of it. So before I get employed, or like before, even like when I was having my environmental agency, I was in the beginning thinking like, what kind of clients do I want to have? Do I want to work for Coca-Cola? Do I want to work for Home Credit, which is a bank with really bad reputation? How do they make, what's their actually business model and so on? So I had this sort of like a struggle from the moral perspective. And when I'm trying to live as much as possible in balance with my values, for me, it was really hard to make a decision that I can have those